My name's Paul Silman, part of the team here at Clean Claims. Spent the last 10 years in the industry as a technician as well as a project manager. Worked on the insurance side. I always like to start out by saying I was a contractor first, so don't throw anything at me on the other screens. Worked for Liberty Mutual Safeco, Frontline Insurance as well as Contractor Connection before coming back and working for Royal Plus, doing large loss emergency cleanups, and then finding my way into the tech side of things. My co-host on here as well is Corey Burt. Corey, I'll let you give yourself an intro.
Yeah, I'm happy to be on the Clean Claims team as well. Been with Clean Claims for about 6 months now. Actually came from the automotive world. So love the process enforcement, love technology in the industry. So happy to be here with Paul and loving to get to know the restoration industry a little bit better and feel like I've met some great people and it's been awesome.
Perfect. So diving in, kind of what we're going to cover today, we're obviously going to start out talking about some of the key issues we're trying to solve, why documentation is important, kind of what to document, why, how this can help in the flow. And then we're going to go in and actually live go into Clean Claims. We're going to show you how you can go through documents and things. We've already set up a job. So we're going to walk through. I'm actually going to build a room. We're going to go through, add some readings, show how the flow works, so that you guys can see that in live time, and then also talk about some of the things we're working on, some of our integrations, ways we can make it easier for the guys out in the field, but also at the end of the day, that we get paid faster. It's what everyone's looking for. So how do we help make that happen? So again, any questions or anything, feel free to throw those in the chat bar. We'll definitely have some time at the end where we can go through, take some questions live, things like that. So kind of diving into this, Corey, documentation. We all know you need it. We all know it's important. Kind of what are some of the key notes that we really want to dive into today?
Yeah, so right when I first got into the industry, right, the buzzwords were obviously getting paid in insurance companies, right? And the first thing that I heard was we don't get paid for what we do, we get paid for what we document. And that's why documentation is so important, right? So we can say all day long, hey, we did this, we did that. The insurance companies or the customers are not going to believe us. We have to be able to back that up with documentation. And that is why and where Clean Claims thrives, is collecting that data so that we aren't having those meetings that you have all been in where it's like, hey, where's your photos? Where's your readings? Where's this? Where's that? Why are we missing all of this documentation? And then we're wasting time going back out to jobs when we really should have just gotten that stuff while we were there. And as good as any technician or any PM is, we're going to miss something. So Clean Claims is here as a process enforcement, right? That another buzzword in any industry is that process enforcement, right? And Clean Claims thrives on helping you as a business build a process and execute on that process every single time and get the documentation that we need. So that's why it's so important. And the big reason is we all are not here unless we get paid, right? So getting paid, so getting that documentation so that we can get paid.
And one of the big things that we found in the industry, especially we're in a post-COVID world. When I worked in the industry, here in Central Florida, I used to have adjusters that would send me the ESX file. Hey, go out, take a look at this, send it, I'll get it paid. In the post-COVID world, you're seeing less and less field adjusters that are staff. So a actual staff field adjuster. So you're seeing IA firms, you're seeing, hell, at one point in time, they were having homeowners pretty much sketch the house and write some of this stuff. So what we're finding is the people that are paying your claims now are desk adjusters. These are people that probably have never been in the field before. These are people that have a spreadsheet they're going off of. This is how I can pay this claim. So we want to help paint that picture and get that information they need. But also, most of the time, at one point in time, I had 153 files I was trying to get through within 30 days. A lot of times they're overwhelmed. They have more going on. So the easier we can paint the picture and give them what they need to pay the claims, the faster that payment process gets, because they want to pay these claims out. Obviously, there's the 1% that want to make things difficult. But when you give them that information, but also How do we eliminate those Wednesday morning meetings where we all have been there? I've broken up a couple fist fights before with family members where are we at with this job? What equipment's there? Do we have photos? How long is this going to take? Why are we just sitting around and going over this? Clean Claims is really designed to help you set up that process and then enforce it through to where it's a simple tool that just walks technicians through. I need a photo of the front of the house. We all know that's the biggest pain in this industry is a stupid photo of the front of the house, or you're editing one on Google just to send over to close a file. But also, did you take those readings? Do we have equipment logs? Are we moisture mapping? Do we have all the info we need? And that's where we really set that up to help make it simple to understand. When I'm in this room, how do I paint the picture for an adjuster who's never been in this industry, who has no idea what they're looking at, to understand why we did what we did and the standards we followed to get there? So kind of what we're going to do from here is it's going to get a little bit more live. I'm actually going to share my screen and we're going to walk through kind of a job, kind of how Clean Claims works, the importance of getting all these items for an adjuster. And then we're actually going to set up some rooms live. Couple different ways we're going to do it. So while I'm
And
getting this set up,
yeah,
if you get into the chat, or go ahead, Corey.
yeah, Paul, and another thing, we've met with several insurance companies. To Paul's point, their biggest pain point is obviously not getting the documentation. And it was interesting that most of the insurance companies that we've met with are only getting 20 to 30% of the documentation that they need from us, right? From the industry. And I was amazed at that stat because Clean Claims is able to give so much more than that. So keep that in mind that we are here to bridge that gap to where it's not, you know, I hate insurance companies, I don't want to work with them. Let's just give them the information they need and get paid, right? That's what we want to do.
And what I want to kind of highlight real quick, and regardless if you use Clean Claims or not, setting that process on a job, because we know when you're getting this information, whether you're going through and setting up a residential water loss, like we'll go through and set, this is the example we'll use. When you're setting up these losses, again, regardless if you use us or not, are you guys following a standard process? Are you guys setting equipment? Are they getting the readings? Like, how are they attacking each room? Because what I've found is even the best technicians in the world, when we went from paper to digital, there's nothing worse than setting up a job. You're going through all this, and then you look over and you see your project manager is just doing this, playing all day, trying to get information in. Maybe the softwares weren't working, and you're just on the job longer than you need to be. The way we set this up is you have the ability to say, okay, here's our process on how we're going to attack these rooms and these projects, where you can actually require, did you get a sketch? Did you get the dimensions? Do we have a scope on the job? Did we actually go through and get all this information to where it's required on the job, but it's required in a simple way, to where you're not clicking 900 times to find something. You're just requiring your team to say, on a residential water loss, I need the ambient readings. I need the moisture points. If this is a fire, well, maybe I just need more, the dimensions. Maybe I just need the cubic footage. Or even if it's like a prelim inspection, I just want to go out and take photos so that I know if this is a job we even want to do. You have the ability to customize this to your individual process, because we know everyone on this call, we all dry houses, but we all dry it a little bit differently. Might be a different process, or maybe I send a PM first, or maybe I send my technicians first. We allow you to build that out for exactly what you need so that everyone's following the same thing every single time. So walking into this job, this is where we can simply come in, set up those settings to be able to come in and actually walk through all these different jobs. So as a technician, I'm walking onto this job. I can already see we have one bedroom set up, and we also have one set up that's a storage room. Perfect. We all know the biggest issue is if you guys are using paper files, who has the physical file? Am I calling my project manager to say, what are we doing? What happened on this job? Or it's in a Slack or an email. You just get lost out on the job. That's where we really come in to say, in that process enforcement, what's been done in this job? what still needs to be done on this job, and then where are we at? So this allows you in not only just a project level, but even in a room level to simply say, we've already added in our dimensions. We need to actually take some during images, after images, but our before images are done. Don't need to go through and do that. We've already got our readings added in here. You can see we haven't hit our dry standard, so we know we need to actually keep drying on this. And then per our requirements, here's our actual S500 standards for air movers. Also, this is simple. People will probably laugh at this one. We added equipment. Did we pick it up? Do we know where our pieces of equipment are? But this allows you to simply log who put something in, how long it was on the job. And then when we pick up this equipment, it automatically tracks how long it was on the job. So you don't have to manually say we had it here 3.5 days. It'll actually track all that and help give that information out as well. And then you'll notice even at the bottom, we even have, I even set up on here our thermal hygrometer. So this is where in our readings, you can actually see I have our thermal hygrometer taking active measurements right now. So you can still do manual readings and actually chart out, or simply say on the sensor readings, here's all the readings that's been taking over the last couple hours. So when I'm saying, do we need to go monitor what's going on in this job? Is it hitting our grains? Is it on the way down to drying? I can do all that while sitting on the couch. I don't have to go brave the elements. I know we have some Canadians on here right now who are probably dealing with more snow than I am down here in the South, but this is where you can actually see that information and be able to determine, is my DHU running properly? Did the homeowner turn it off? Is it stuck in defrost mode? You can see all that info live, and then also be able to just set up this room from the beginning and be done. Before I dive in, Corey, anything you want to add to that?
I do think it's important. Obviously, we had our remote monitoring session, and a lot of you guys were on that last time. It is important to know that you can do it manually or do it with the sensors, right? That is super, super important. So, and you can do a little bit on each job if you wanted to monitor it with some sensors in one part of the house, but not another part of the house. You can do that, and you can mix and match that as much as you need to. Another really cool feature, Paul is on the moisture content right here. And we can see that he's taken one reading, right? And maybe after a few days, it's not drying and we need to tear the carpet out for whatever reason. There is a tear out button right there. So you can tear it out, put the tear out date, put the reason on there that you're tearing it out. It houses all those readings for the report, right? So we'll want that for the adjuster or the customer, but then it's not going to make us take any more readings on that carpet after we do the tear out, right? So per room, it gives us a lot of detail. And the really nice thing is, as a project manager or as an owner of a business, when one of your technicians calls you and says, hey, I'm done with this job, this is updating real time, you can actually go into the project and be like, hey, let me just check it out. Let's talk about it. We'll go through the rooms. Hey, I saw you got this reading. I saw you have this equipment on there. You can talk about it with them right on site. Another cool thing is that you can have multiple technicians working in a project at the same time. One of our large loss customers was doing I think it was a hospital, and they had like 44 floors and 308 rooms. I think they had 68 some odd technicians working in there, and all of the data was syncing together because they had multiple people on each floor. So you can, work at the same time with users inside of the system.
So what we're going to do here is we're going to set up a new room within this project. So the way we set it up is we have levels and chambers and then rooms. So your levels, think first floor, second floor, third floor, or what's in our drying chamber. And then we have those rooms in between those. So we do have a couple different ways of doing it. We do have a fantastic integration with MagicPlan. So if you guys are looking for those instant LiDAR sketches, I went through and sketched out a room in here just before this call to where you can see this instantly was pulled over. So not only can we see exactly what that looks like, gives all the dimensions with it as well, and even puts in any kind of notes, any kind of requirements that come from that information. So we'll show you that as well. Or if you guys think commercial or you just need to get actual dimensions in, we'll do that as well. So let me stop sharing this screen. We're getting interactive with this one, by the way. So we'll see how this goes in live time.
Yep, and we do have places in this inside the system as well that we can show you for, like, a lot of people have invested money into DocuSketch or Matterport. We do have a place where that link can live and become part of our reporting. So then when we do send that report over, it includes that, and you could click on that link and it would take you right to the DocuSketch or right to the Matterport, because we understand that people have invested significant amount of money in other products as well that we want to house inside of there.
All
So
right.
this is from your iPad, right, Paul?
Yep. And we're going live. I'm in my guest room right now. So we're going to go ahead and build out this room. So I know we've been talking a lot about, okay, processes. Well, this is where we're actually going to enforce those processes, but also get it done right the first time. So this is where I can simply come in, add notes. I can say, you know, carpet. Carpet is affected. Now, one thing we do with clean claims is you'll notice this little show button down here on the bottom. Depending on your certain admin levels is where you'll have the ability to actually see what is required. So if you have to maybe go outside, or this room's got different scenarios, or something else is going on, admins have the ability to see this. But if it's just a user, which is like our technicians, that button doesn't exist. So they're just following through that preset process that you guys added in. So what I'm going to go ahead and do here is I'm going to simply walk through this, and then all these are preset that we have in here. So for this room, we're just going to manually set this up. Say this is a 10-foot by 10-foot room per the S500. How much of this is affected? We'll just say 100%. And then this allows you to say, is the ceiling affected? Is it the same width of the floor? For this example, we're going to say it's not affected and simply move on. So we do have a tool in here. So if you guys do 2 and 4 foot flood cuts, you can actually build out all the rooms in here, be able to put those dimensions in, and it'll auto calculate the different walls and how much you're cutting, to where you can see here, I can put, you know, if this is a 10-foot length, 8-foot height, and you can actually put that in. It'll automatically calculate how much of that 2-foot flood cut you're doing. But for this example, we'll go ahead and say it's not required. And then it's going to ask for our ceiling height, which is going to be 9 feet. And then you notice on the very bottom, you'll go ahead and see that progress bar. You know, how do we gamify this? Make it simpler. So you can just see, how far am I in this room? So in the media here, this is where we have what's called our quick photos. I will say, for some reason, Zoom doesn't like the quick photos button. So you can also come in and take a photo and actually use the actual, I'm on an iPad, iPhone. You can actually use any of the features such as flash, or I can simply come into the quick photos, which again, unfortunately, for some reason on Zoom, it makes it black, but I can simply 1, 2, 3, doesn't like that. But with this, it requires us to take a minimum of 3 photos per room. And then once we get those minimum photos, which, mind you, we have no limitations. If you want to take 1,000 photos, 500 photos, whatever you want, you can. When you click on these photos, you notice on the bottom, it's geolocating where I'm at, who took it, and time and date. You also can simply come in here and add notes and simply just be done. So once you do this, since we're going room by room, it's automatically organizing them in different rooms. So all that information is done for you. So now we're coming in, we're going to do our reading setup. It's currently right now 74 degrees, 65% relative humidity. And you notice I can't move on. Corey, why can't I move on?
Well, you can't move on because we've required an image of that reading. So you can even, that's the coolest part is that we could turn that off. We could leave it on. If you don't want to take images of the readings, you don't have to. In this case, for documentation's sake, we are requiring a photo. Another cool thing that is up there at the top, obviously Paul's doing a manual one. You see that there's a sensor set up as well. This is where we could set up one of our thermal hygrometers and have it set up in that room taking readings as well. So again, showing that manual or sensor spot.
Perfect. So now we're going to simply come in and start doing our moisture readings. So you'll notice one thing you'll see here is on the left side, I'm adding in our initial moisture reading content for the different materials. And on the right, you'll see our dry standards. If you're doing multiple rooms in a house, once you set a dry standard for a certain piece of material, it'll show up here in the existing. So this is something you only have to set up once. So we're going to simply say this is the over. We're going to say we're using a penetrating meter. We're getting a 99% reading. If you notice, it's going to make me take a photo. I don't have a meter on me, so bear with me and use your imagination. And then it's going to ask for the dry standard. So we're going to say this is in the master bedroom.
Yeah, that would be carpet up at the top, but yeah, it's good.
Oh, see, that's why I have Corey checking me here.
Yeah.
Go through, say this is reading at, say 22%. Again, sorry, Zoom does not like our quick photo feature for some reason. And then this is where we can go through. If we want to add baseboards, if we want to add carpet pad, if we want to add multiple layers to this, we can, so that we can simply come through and see, now we finished this room. So now it's added this room in. And if we just simply come to our requirements, we can see we've got our dimensions. We still need to take more media during the project. We've already got our moisture readings. We haven't hit our dry standards, but then also we need to go through and actually place equipment. This is where you can just simply keep track and just follow through step by step, whether it's me doing it, whether it's Corey doing it, or whether I have multiple crews in multiple rooms, they're all following that same standard process. So for here, we're going to go ahead.
There was a couple of questions right here from
Yeah.
Kelly. So that sketch, that LiDAR sketch that we're integrated with MagicPlan, that is an instant sketch. So it comes right over into the system using the LiDAR technology. So that is an instant sketch. And Sam asked, they're in the UK and they don't follow the S500 standards for air movers. We have it built in. I know we have several Australian companies as well. I think it's the PAS 64. I can't remember, but Sam, I can get back to you on that because I know we have the standards set for different countries as well. So I'll get back to you on that.
Perfect. So while Corey was doing that, this is where we were able to actually go in, add that equipment per the recommendation. So now you can see Paul placed this on December 18th at 11:26 a.m. You can now see that equipment has been added in. So it allows you to kind of move through. Now, this is where you can also come in. You want to add your dehumidifier or maybe a desiccant, or if there's, you got to use Phoenix, Dry Ease, whatever you want to use. You can simply come in, add that information in. If you have equipment identifiers, you can put them on here. We'll just say this is a description. We'll put this as a Phoenix LGR. And then you notice now you can change these settings. If you just want them to put equipment in, you can put equipment in. If you want them to take the readings, you put the readings in. If you want to take a photo of the readings, you can make that a requirement. So if I want to go through and hit save, you're going to notice nothing's happening. because I still have to take photos of not only the reading, but the equipment as well. So this is where I can simply come in, say 112, 12%. It does your dew point, GPP, and vapor pressure for you. And then this is where I can simply take those photos, say this is my reading right here. And then I'm going to need at least a photo of that piece of equipment. So this is where I can simply come in, take that photo. Add that in, hit save. And now you can see my two pieces of equipment that are up top here. But also, since I did a reading, if you come into the monitoring tab here, this is where all of those dehumidifier readings will live as well. So if we needed to go in and actually check, is it working properly? You know, what are our readings on every day while we're monitoring? You can see that. Or if you want to hook up that remote thermal hygrometer to it, it'll automatically take those readings, I believe, every 10 minutes for you as well.
And it's also anytime you place equipment, if Paul were to click on that requirement button, it is creating another requirement to then pick up that equipment. So we will have the records, like he said before, of he dropped it off at this time. If someone else picked it up, it would put their timestamp on it, which brings to another point. I did say that there's multiple users inside of Clean Claims. That is true. It's also true that we don't charge per user, right? So you can have 1,000 users. We want everyone inside of your organization to have their own user because it's logging when they are doing things inside of the system to create not only the process enforcement, but the accountability for everybody inside of our organization, right? Because if I was using Paul's login, that is doing us no good. If I place the equipment under Paul's login, it's doing us no good because we can't really go back to the source and be like, hey, Paul placed this equipment. This is what he did. Corey then picked it up. That's giving us that accountability and process enforcement along the way.
And one thing I just did while I was speaking there is when it comes to that, you know, accountability, now I went through and picked up these 5 air movers. You can see it automatically logs who picked it up, time it was picked up, and then in our final report, it'll actually log how long that equipment was there. You know, if I needed to come in and actually adjust maybe this dehumidifier, it'll log all those notes, timestamp it, and just be able to give it one clean package that you can send over to the adjusters as well. So one thing, so I know you guys mentioned the question about LiDAR. Normally we don't like to do these in live demos in the tech world, but you know what, we're going to do it anyway. Let me show you an actual example. We're going to build this room again, but use our LiDAR sketch with MagicPlan.
Yeah, and the LiDAR technology, just so you guys know, is like any Apple product that's a Pro. I think it's like a 12 and above that has the Pro, has the 3 different cameras on the back of it. So his iPad has that. You know, if you have that in your repertoire of equipment, then you can use that. You know, and like I say, we do know that a lot of people have invested money into Ricoh cameras or, you know, all kinds of different things. So we want to be able to bring all of that stuff in.
So you'll see just with that one click, it automatically launched me into MagicPlan to where I can simply come in. This is the ground floor that I'm working on now. And simply exit out of this. I can insert another room. And I can just go through and actually do this LiDAR scan. Hopefully this is coming across for you guys as I'm doing it in live time.
Yep, we can see it.
Think about it as with the LiDAR, you're basically painting brushes through the different walls. So as we come through here, it's going to pick up. Sometimes you might have to go over it once or twice to make sure everything lines up, but it basically will go through, pick up all your corners, kind of like painting the room with it. And then we can simply hit stop, confirm scan. Done. So you can see that pulled that in. It pulled even some of the contents in as well. And then this is where I can simply come in. If I want to delete all the contents out, I can. If I want to add anything in here, I can as well. And then I just simply hit send to clean claims. And one thing with our integration is we are taking the stance on an integration doesn't mean I log in, log out, do things differently. We wanted to pull you directly in and out of those different projects. So as you can see, it pulled me right back into clean claims. It's where now I can simply come through. I've done 2 sketches in here. This is our bedroom now. I'm going to simply select this sketch. And now it's got me set up in those different processes. So it's already pulled the dimensions in. So per the standards, I'm going to say 75% of the floor is affected. The ceiling is not affected. And then now we're back into taking that media. So it's going to make us take those photos. And then again, we're just moving through the process of this. So this is back to the ambient. We're going to simply say 74, 65. Take a photo of that meter. And then it's just moving us through the steps. So really the one thing we want you to take out of this is being able to just follow that different process, regardless if I'm in the kitchen, Corey's in the living room. It's really make sure we're doing things the same way, but now we're actually requiring us to capture that information we need. So we're going to go carpet. We're going to say this is 99. We're going to take our quick photo. And then with our dry standard, since we've already set this one up, I can now simply move on to that room. So now we've added that room in. And since we did this through LiDAR, this is where you can now actually see, there's that instant sketch. So I can see those dimensions in there. And then also any of the dimensions in there as well. You can see we still need to add some equipment in. You can see this is requiring 2 to 5 air movers. So it allows you to go through and document all this, but at the same time, you can have multiple people working through the same process while in different rooms. So it allows all that live data to sync up and simply move through and do everything the same way. So the big highlight of this is really, regardless if you use us or not, it's are you following that same process? Because the last thing you need is crew A goes out, they're great at setting equipment, great at demoing, but they don't take any photos or they don't document anything. Crew B is great at documenting, but they take longer. We just got to get everyone running consistently, because the more consistent you are, the better your upload times are, the better your adjusters can see that information, but you're also keeping that same unified picture on every single job. And you guys know as well as anyone, consistency in this industry is key.
Yep. And Paul, maybe we can talk about integrations for a minute, because you obviously just highlighted the MagicPlan one. Integrations are a huge initiative for us. So we have MagicPlan that we're integrated with, a couple of CRMs that we're fully integrated with, our PSA and Accelerate, which we're always enhancing those integrations, because to Paul's point, integration to us means we're not having to double enter things. So we're constantly working on that. And we're in the process of integrating with Verisk, with Albiware, and with several other, CRMs, different things that we can make, part of our system, but we don't just throw integrations out there lightly, right? We want to make sure the integrations are done correctly, and, so the technology is not bogging you and your teams down. So that's one of our big initiatives that we're working on as well. Any other ones that I missed there, Paul, in talking about integrations?
Yeah, a couple other things we're working on as well is not only integrating with your CRM systems, because you guys all know double entry is the biggest pain there is. The last thing you want to do is have to keep entering the same information back and forth. But we are working with equipment manufacturers. So if you guys are using like digital tape measures, about being able to simply shoot those measurements and have it go directly into clean claims, as well as some other initiatives we're working on as well. So we're looking to try and set it up to where whatever you use, whether it's different equipment, whether it's different measuring tools, whether it's different CRMs or estimating platforms, we want to make sure all that is seamless. Because as we all know, guys, app fatigue is a thing. Technicians are using what, 5 to 7 different apps. They're having to log back and forth. They're missing items here and there. We want to make it any integration just seamless so that all that data flows back and forth. But also, the best piece of technology is one people use. So if this is going to make a technician's job easier, it's going to make an estimator's job easier, and it's going to make everything easier. We just want to make a simple tool that people want to go out and actually make their day easier. Isn't that what technology is supposed to do? So we just want to make it simple and make everything flow to where you go out, you do the job, you capture the information, and then everything seamlessly flows into one.
Yep. And Kelly asked the question on DocuSketch. If you are using DocuSketch, obviously it's not instant, right? It takes a certain period of time to get back in there. That's where we would house that link right inside of Clean Claims. So when you're setting up rooms, again, going back to Paul's point, it really depends on what your process is. If you are relying on DocuSketch to get the measurements, obviously we would put those in later. If you want to, still take laser measurements with your equipment that you have and put it in, then get DocuSketch to start doing your estimating. We can work through all of those processes with your team. Sam asked the question about ServiceMate, and I believe, is that in Australia as well, or is that being used in the UK as well, Sam? I don't know that, but we are in talks with ServiceMate as well.
Awesome. Yeah, so what we'll do is kind of open this up for some Q&A. You guys can also add those into the chat. Let us know. We'd love to answer any questions. But kind of the big highlight from this is when you're documenting, regardless if you use Clean Claims or another software, really define that process you're going through. How do you want your technicians approaching it? Do you want them pulling equipment first, or how are we taking measurements? Is it crew one is doing the measurements, one's doing the demo? Just finding that best practice, because the more consistent you can get with it, just the better everything's going to be. But also, reduce the fatigue of, I'm working with crew one today. This is how they do it. Crew two does it differently. Really streamlining all that and make it easier for your guys out there. Any questions? Anything that's popping up? We want to definitely, we're open to any conversations on here. I will say, I think I saw, I know one of the attendees was on the last one we did on the remote monitoring. I will say, I know there was a question last week about concrete, looking through concrete, how that works. Don't have the answer yet. Still going down that rabbit hole, but I did sign up. I'll be at the Nexus conference in Las Vegas in a couple weeks. And I did purposely sign up for the class that's going into concrete moisture readings and things of that nature. So Kelly, I'll have some more answers for you, but we're working on that and figuring all that one out.
And also, Paul, I think a big one will be wrapped around pricing, of how we do our pricing, right? So if we want to dive into that, or if you want to pull that up on there as well. Like I had mentioned before, we don't pay per user, you just pay per project, right? So we can pull that up and give you some pricing, and we can dive into that with you and your teams. But we are a pay per project until you get to a certain point, and then we can sign you up for more of a consistent, hey, we want to pay this per month, moving forward. We also don't have any contracts with our customers, so we really feel like if you want to use us, then you'll use us. We don't want you to use us because you have to use us. We want you to use us because we're the right thing for your company. So when you sign up, we don't have you sign any contract or anything right off the bat. We just want you to get signed up and get rolling.
Yeah, we're trying to reduce the subscription fatigue that everyone's in, where you have 90 different softwares that are charging X amount per month. we want you to use this tool. It's pretty simple. Our credits don't expire. Use us when you need us. Use us every day, certain projects, however it works. We want to be here to help assist with that. Or if you're just interested in the remote monitoring, we have the ability within our software to turn off all these requirements to where you're just using the sensors to remote monitor. Whatever works best for you. That's the beauty of Clean Claims is if you're having to use this required software, great. You can do certain things in here, certain things in there. We're obviously working on those integrations to help make it easier. But really, we just want to be a second option in this industry to where if you're moving on paper, let's find a simple way to have your team move that into a digital. If you are using other softwares or multiple other softwares, possibly reduce some of those for you. But really, we just want to really highlight that our main goal is to make this simple and make it something that you can simply go through, get all the documentation you need, get everything to be able to send that file to the adjuster so that you can get paid faster and get everything you need up to date. So really, it's really setting up everything you need and then following those SLAs, guidelines, things of that nature. Let's see here. I think we got a couple messages.
One on ArcSight.
You got me on that one. I know Brandon's looking into that one.
I don't, someone would have to explain a little bit more on ArcSight. I don't know if that's I know, was it Sam, or no, it was Josh and Sam.
Yeah, I can dig into that one even offline with them, Corey.
Okay, cool.
Perfect. Actually, I got a question for you guys while you're on here, because this is something we're finding more and more about. I know each restoration company does something differently. You guys can throw it in the chat or in here. When you guys get a new job, obviously emergency scenarios are different. Do you guys normally send out a project manager first or a sales rep to take a look, or do you normally send out your technicians first? Because this is something we're finding across the US and North America and kind of all over. We're finding more and more differences, and we're always curious, are you sending that salesperson out or a project manager to kind of take a look, or are you sending your crews directly out who are kind of navigating the loss while they're out there?
We always send out an estimator. We call it, we've got an estimator and a PM, but not saying it's the perfect way, but we found, for our estimators, when they make that initial contact, there's kind of more ownership of, oh, I made a commitment to this person from the very beginning of that project. And they're a little bit more disconnected when they're the third or fourth person on site. So we get overwhelmed, and if we can't, it'll be a technician at that point.
No, that's great insight, because that's how I kind of did it when I started at Paul Davis of Orlando, then worked for a company called Florida Cat, and our technicians always went out on water mid jobs. We were always the first guys that went out. Then I ran our mold department, which obviously mold is different. I would go out, estimate it, have to put together the estimate scopes, send it for approval, get a hygienist out there. Once we got approval, then our crews went out, kind of same with the rebuild as well. I'm kind of starting to see more and more on people are going a little bit more towards the PM type route or like an estimator type route on mitigation jobs. Now, obviously that depends on certain requirements. If it's through certain TPAs or through certain carriers, obviously you have to make contact within 60 minutes. You have to be on site within 2 hours. So that changes that dynamic. But if you're non-program work, I'm starting to see a little bit more of that shift. So you can actually scope out the job, see what's going on, build a scope sheet or an estimate to where, is this job worth signing versus, some people, I worked at companies that were heavy TPA. We didn't really have a choice. We were going out whether we wanted to or not. So that's a trend I'm seeing more and more about. So it's definitely interesting to hear you guys' feedback on it. So Kelly, usually PM takes the lead from MIT, and then sometimes we send a lead tech along the way. That seems to be kind of either a PM going out or maybe a lead technician, someone that's been around a little bit that can go through, because there is a power to having that conversation piece from a sales point with a homeowner, being able to walk through what's going to happen. We all know the minute you start tearing drywall out, the world's ended, and all of a sudden the complaints come in. But being able to walk someone through that, because we all know most homeowners have never had a loss a day in their life. They have no idea what's about to happen. So when you come in and say, we're about to gut all the carpet in this house, we're going to rip everything out, it tends to throw people off. So it's always an interesting thing. Now, whether that's training you want to put into with your technicians or just having more of that dedicated project manager, I'm seeing both ways. So there's no right or wrong reason to it, but it's definitely something I'm hearing more and more about. So I appreciate you guys sharing that in there as well.
And the nice thing is with that, Paul, too, I think the reason Paul brings that up is companies do it differently. We can help you set it up that way, right? To where if you want to go out and do a prelim inspection, we can put whatever requirements you want on there, and then we move it from a prelim inspection to a water job, a fire job, or whatever. Then those requirements would then be required when the technician goes out there, because maybe the PM is not going to get all of the the dimensions. He's not going to do a sketch right off the bat. He's just going to go in, take photos, take videos, put in some notes of the project. Then we could then flip it to a water, fire, or mold job. Then those requirements would come on, right? So we can help you guys set that up for your processes inside of your company, however you want that done.
I think Kelly had a question.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just going to talk about processes, right? We're a company that went from a small revenue to we doubled the revenue and more, right? When we jumped on with a TPA. And so then we're still growing as a company in that regard, trying to build processes, and people coming and going out of the company too doesn't help. It just you always are starting over, it seems like. So yeah, if you're able to help with getting us going on processes, I think that's one of my concerns, why I haven't really spent the time jumping on board with Clean Claims fully either, right? So and your technology or your software has increased incredibly since I first saw it, right? So
For sure.
And we're making leaps and bounds.
Yeah, I think Kelly, you would be, if you want to reach out to us after, and if we need to get with your teams, because I know you already have an account with us, let's go through and we can maybe just talk about those a little bit more. We can talk about your processes and really get that dialogue with your teams and get your teams trained on, how you want it to go, right?
Yeah.
And that's one thing I want to highlight on here as well, is if you are an active Clean Claims member, that is something that Corey and I have brought to the team here recently, is now we do have a onboarding process. Call what you want. Lane was a one-man ship. He built a great tool, but he was also running in circles for a little bit there. So now we have it set up to where our onboarding is basically 2 to 3 meetings. It's not a 6 to 8 month integration, onboarding, planning. It's basically, we'll go through, we'll help you set up those processes from the admin side. And then we go through and have your technicians work through a kind of a test project in the office. If you are an existing Clean Claims member and maybe you didn't have that, or would you like some additional training, that's something we'd be more than happy to do for you guys. We'd love to walk you through it, love to show you some of the updates, because I know version 2 of our software only came out 6 weeks ago. So I know we're adding more and more to that. So we're more than happy to walk through that with you guys and help set that up, show you the different features, things like that. But really, our main thing is just once we get those settings set up, it's just getting your guys using it, getting them out in the field, making sure they're comfortable with it, and then it's kind of off to the races. We don't want to be, we all know we've integrated software before, and then 9 months down the road, you realize you're still paying for it and no one's using it. We don't want that to be the case. Part of why we don't have contracts is if you get out on a job, you don't like it, great, call us, tell us you don't like it, tell us what we can change better, no problem. We don't want you stuck in something that I got to find a way to do it. It doesn't quite do what I want, but I'm stuck in a 12-month agreement. We truly want this to be something you guys want to use.
Does the Android work as well as the iPhones for the field techs out there, mobile?
Yep.
So with the Android, go ahead, Corey.
So we have an app in the App Store, right, for the iOS App Store. We're working on the Android piece to that as well. But really what we would do is you just go to a browser and then pin it to your home screen, but it works just as well, and it's just as mobile friendly as the app in the App Store as well. But we are working on the Android app as well. So we know that obviously 50% or more of people out there are using Androids, right? So we're also working on a solution with, sketching with an Android, right? Because the LiDAR feature is an Apple feature, and there's multiple backstories to that LiDAR technology, but it's an Apple, so it's an Apple deal, right? And so that LiDAR doesn't work with Androids. And so we're working on a sketch tool that will work with Androids as well, and a solution on that. So yeah.
And then we do have our integration and partnerships with MagicPlan. So that is something that you can have those instant sketches, be able to have that integrate directly within those. And part of that integration as well is we sign up for a account with MagicPlan. We hook everyone into it. So basically when you hit that scan, it instantly jumps into their app. You go through, do your thing, and then it instantly brings it back. So you're not logging in, logging out, having to go through all this. So we're really working with them to have that instant sketch and instant sync between the two, so that data seamlessly flows between them. Again, the LiDAR is great. I will say there are some limitations on it when it gets to square footage of rooms, just because it has to compress the data. If anyone on here does commercial work, that's kind of why I wanted to show the manual feature of it as well. So if you are doing a commercial property, most of the times we just need the cubic footage of this area. We're not really doing as much sketching, or it's not going through exact. So that's where you can simply go in, find that cubic footage, be able to line that up with the equipment. We have some more stuff coming as far as equipment recommendations as well. So where once you put that cubic footage in, you'll be able to get the recommendations on if it's a desiccant, if it's, what kind of equipment you have. And also something we're working on as well is, making it even easier with the equipment tracking. More to come on that. Can't spill too many beans yet, but we're really looking to just try and make it as simple as possible to just get that information you need up front and make your team follow that process, and then just be able to move on with the job.
Is the sketch 2D then? From the LiDAR with Magic?
It's 3D. You can have it in 3D or 2D. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then that's a ESX file?
Yep, it can be an ESX file from MagicPlan to go right in as well, right over to Xactimate. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect. Any other questions or anything on there? We don't want to, I know everyone in this room is probably itching to go out and check some equipment, do some things. If you have any questions, you can feel free to add them into the chat. We'll stay on for the next 5 minutes. If not, we really thank you guys for jumping on. Feel free to reach out to us or go to cleanflames.com. And you can always schedule a demo, reach out to us. We want to definitely help assist and see how we can make life easier in this industry.